We continue with the 29th chapter of the book of Mishlei. Ish tochod makshaoref. Peta yishaver. V'ein marpeh. One who's often reproved becomes stiff-necked, but he who will suddenly be broken is broken beyond repair. Birvot tzadikim yismacham u'moshel rasha ye'anacham. When the righteous become great, the people rejoice. But when the wicked dominate, the people groan, similar to what we had in the last chapter. Ishohev chochma yismach aviv, yisamach aviv. For Razonot Yabed Hon, a man who loves wisdom brings joy to his father, but who keeps company with prostitutes will lose his wealth. Melech, Bamishpat Yamid Aretz, V'ish Trumot Yehersena. By justice, a king sustains the land, but a fraudulent man turns it down. What is an ish trumot? Lots of different commentaries that attempt to explain it. Those who say it's just a dishonest king who accepts bribes, etc. Others who say it refers to to tax collectors. And if they gather too much of the taxes, then they tear down. And we think of that in the life of Rechavam. If this is Shlomo's book to his son Rechavam, who strengthens the taxes even after Shlomo's death, even after the great building projects, the Beit HaMikdash and Shlomo's palaces and the other things that were built are already done. There was no reason for it. And tears down the society. Gever, machalik al reyo reshet poresh al pamav, a man who flatters his fellow, spreads a net for his feet. Bepesha ishra mokesh v'tzadik yarun v'sameach. An evil man's offenses are a trap, but the righteous sing out with joy. Yodea tzadik din dalim. Rasha lo yavin da'at. Significant verse. This is verse 7. A righteous man is concerned with the cause of the poor, of the weak, of the wretched. A wicked man can't understand such concern. Empathy. People being uninterested. Think of Elie Wiesel, right? The people, what allows for destruction, what allows for genocide, are people who could care less. Empathy is so important. A Russia, somebody who's lo yavindat, he doesn't understand such concerns. Anshe latzon yafichu kirya v'chachamim yashivu af. Scoffers inflame a city, but the wise, they allay anger. They know how to calm it down. Ish chacham, we're in verse 9. Nishpat et ish evil v'ragaz v'sachak v'ein nachat. When a wise man enters into a case, into litigation with a evil, with a fool, there is ranting and ridicule, but there is no satisfaction. There's no nachas that comes out of it because, it's almost impossible to get to a decent settlement, to get to a pshara. Anshe damim yisneutam visharim yivakshu nafsho. Bloodthirsty men detest those who are tam, who are without fault, who are blameless. But those who are yashar, those who are upright, they seek them out. Those are the people that they want. They want to be with people who are pure. A dull person, a fool, vents all his rage. But a wise man calms it down. His own rage calms the rage of the fool down. Different ways of reading that verse. It seems that the former is better to me than the latter. A fool makes himself crazy, and the wise man knows how to calm himself down. Moshel, we're in verse 12. Makshiv al dvar shaker, kol mishartav rishayim. A ruler who listens to lies, all his ministers will be wicked. You can think about what you want with that one. Rash v'ish tichachim nifgeshu meir einei shnehem Adonai. A poor man and a fraudulent man meet. The Lord gives luster to the eyes of both of the men. So the Midrash, in classical Midrashic fashion, says that this refers to a Talmud Chacham. A Talmud Chacham meets a different scholar. He says, "Come and teach me." Melech shofet be'emet dalim kisola ad yikom. Working off the earlier verse that the righteous person is concerned with the dalim. Right, back in verse 7, Yodea tzadik din dalim, a righteous man is concerned with the poor. So here it tells us about a melech. If a king judges the dal, the poor, the wretched, honestly, what's going to happen? His kisei, his throne, will be established forever. Now you can ask about whether this was David. David was the one whose throne was established forever. Did he really judge the poor properly? It's a good question to ask. Certainly, we know he made this terrible error. Shevet v'tochachot yitain chochma v'na'ar mishulach mevish imo. Rod and reproof produce wisdom, but a lad out of control is a disgrace to his mother and his father for that liking. Pasuk tet zayin b'rivot rishayim yarbet pasha. V'tzadikim b'mapaltam yiru. When the wicked increase, offenses increase, but the righteous will see their downfall. Yasir bincha v'nichecha v'itein ma'adanim linafshecha. Discipline your son, who'll give you peace. He will gratify you with pleasant things, with ma'adanim. Right, so here again, one of the things we've seen in this book a lot: you can't let your children run wild. Be'in chazoni para'am v'shomer Torah ashrehu. For lack of vision, a people lose restraint. You have to have a vision. You have to give them a purpose. You have to give them meaning. But happy is he who heeds instruction. Somebody who's given instruction, somebody who's given something to do that. It's not anarchy. You understand this Torah as being small as the Midrash will, or just instruction just generally. Now, it should be moral education, as we said many times in this book. But Dvarim lo yivaser aved ki avin v'ein ma'ana. Slave cannot be disciplined by words, though he may comprehend, he does not respond. I don't think this is the way we think of things today. Chazita ish atz b'dvarav tikva l'ksil mimenu. If you see a man hasty in speech, there's more hope for a fool than for him. Talk about this book many times, being deliberate, being very, very deliberate's the word, being very deliberate, being very cautious in the way that you act, not just speaking and open your mouth and saying the first thing that comes out. A slave pampered from youth will come to a bad end. So you could ask this question: what does this mean? A slave? What slave is pampered? I know slavery back then was not like kunta kinte and roots. So the Midrash says that what this refers to is the Yetzer Hara. If you allow your evil inclination, if you pamper it, if you listen to it, if you allow what it wants on small levels, eventually it's going to come to a bad end. It's going to overwhelm you with terrible things as well. Ish afi garem adonu, verse 22. Val chema rav pasha. An angry man provokes a quarrel. A hot-tempered man commits many offenses. Gavat adam tashbilenu shval rucha ruach yitmoch kavod. A man's pride will humiliate him, but a humble man will obtain honor. We see this later on in Chazal. The person who runs after honor doesn't get the honor. The person who doesn't run after the honor will come and find him. Cholek am im ganav sonei nafsho Allah yishma v'lo yagid. He who shares with a thief is his own enemy. Right? You bring in somebody who's evil. He hears the imprecation and does not tell. You know who you're dealing with. You got to know who to work with, who not to work with. A man's fears are a trap for him. They're a mokesh. But who trusts in God will be safe guarded. Whether this, midrashically, we say this means a sin, it's going to be his fear, whether it's in business. But here again, as we've seen many times in this book, Torah, instruction from others, trust in God. Rabim mivakshim pnei Moshe me'Adonai mishpat ish. Many seek an audience with the ruler, but it's from God that a man gets justice. Toavat tzadikim ish avel, v'toavat rasha yishar darach. The unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, and the person whose way is straight is an abomination to the wicked. So one way of understanding a person, if they're a tzaddik or a rasha, is who are they attracted to? What do they love? Do they love other dictators? Do they love evil people? Do they love wickedness? That probably implies that they are wicked as well. Whether they've gone down that path yet, unclear. But it appears, from this book at least, that that is the path that they are headed. If you love the wicked, you'll probably end up like them. But if you love the righteous, it may take time, but you will be counted amongst the tzaddikim.